How is everybody doing? In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my expectations for the Toronto Maple Leafs heading into next season. I'm going to be doing this for all 31 teams heading into the season. I took 2 days off. Videos today are going to be back in full force. 2 uploads a day with an expectations video and a regular video that we usually do. So with that being said, I hope you guys are excited, and let's jump right into the video. So last year, the Toronto Maple Leafs really did have a fantastic season. They broke the franchise record in regular season wins with 49. They finished with 105 points, which was good for 3rd in the Atlantic Division. And they were pretty much neck and neck with the Bruins on who was going to be second up until the last couple of weeks of the season. And I really think next year, the Maple Leafs can take a step forward and kind of overtake the Bruins and become the second best team in the Atlantic Division. Their leading goal scorer last year was James Van Riemsdyk with 36, who really had a fantastic year. Obviously, he is now a member of the Philadelphia Flyers, but I'm sure Toronto doesn't mind, as obviously you guys know, they signed John Tavares. Their leading point scorer last year was Mitch Marner with 69. It would have been Auston Matthews had he have stayed healthy. He really was playing well when he was healthy, so that is why it wasn't Auston Matthews, but definitely a really good season for Mitch Marner, and I can definitely see him bringing that point total up to around the 80s, and I can definitely see Auston Matthews having an unbelievable year next season, hoping he stays healthy. So all in all, last year was a really good year for the Leafs, but next year they're really looking to take a huge step forward. Looking at the notable names that came in and the names that went out for the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would take this trade any day of the week. You bring in John Tavares, the big fish in the free agent market from Toronto. You signed him to that massive contract, and obviously Tyler Bozak signed with the Blues, JVR signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, and Tomas Plekanec went back to the Montreal Canadiens, which I think we all really seen happen. And Bozak and Plekanec, those are pretty much depth guys, and the people that are going to replace them are going to come from within the Toronto Maple Leaf system, which I think can sometimes be better than bringing in new faces. You have guys like Kapanen, who I think is ready to take on a bigger role next season, and then you have Andreas Johnson and Per Lindholm and guys like that can really fill out the depth at the bottom of the lineup. They also signed guys like Josh Joris and Tyler Ennis as well, so I'm really thinking them guys can fill out the bottom of the lineup nicely and have them be able to stay up to par with other teams' bottom 6. Obviously, JVR was a tough blow as he scored 36 goals, but I definitely think John Tavares is most definitely an upgrade there, and that this is really going to be good for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think they had a fantastic offseason. Anytime you land a guy with the caliber of John Tavares, you're winning. No matter what, you're really losing, because John Tavares and all the young players in the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to wreak some havoc, and their window to win a Stanley Cup now is probably about 5 to 7 years, which is absolutely insane. But Toronto Maple Leafs really do have so much to cheer about now, finally, after not really having too much to cheer about throughout the past decade. Looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs depth charts and just looking at things I've seen on Twitter from Maple Leafs analysts, this is kind of the lineup that I put together, and don't take it too much as, oh, this is a first line, this is a second line, and don't really think too much into it how I have Tavares on the so-called second line. It's kind of a 1A and 1B. There isn't really any second line because these 2 lines are fantastic for your top 2, and it really doesn't matter. This could be swapped either way. The first line, or 1B or 1A or whatever, Patrick Marleau, Auston Matthews, and William Nylander. Obviously, Matthews and Nylander have exceptional chemistry, and Patrick Marleau really does have a lot left in the tank, I believe, and I think he's going to thrive off playing with the 2 young kids on one of the top lines next season. The second line, this is probably the best second line in the NHL, Zach Hyman, John Tavares, and Mitch Marner, and I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Zach Hyman, but in my opinion, he's the perfect guy to play in your top 6 that just kind of plays with the really good superstars, but he's not an exceptional talent. He just gives it 110% up and down the ice. He finishes checks. He gets to the front of the net. In my opinion, just a perfect guy to play alongside Tavares and Marner, who are going to do the majority of the point scoring, and Hyman can pretty much do everything else on that line. And then going down to the third line, which is also a fantastic line. This could probably be a second line on some teams. Andreas Johnson, who was fantastic in the playoffs for the Calder Cup champion Toronto Marlies, and we definitely did see some good things from him towards the end of the season playing with the Maple Leafs as well, so I definitely think he's ready for a full-time role. And you've got Nazem Kadri, that might be the best third-line center in the entire NHL, because this guy scored 30-plus goals next year. He's on a really good contract, a great two-way forward as well, so just a fantastic guy to center that third line. And then you got the speedster Connor Brown on the right wing, just a fantastic third line. And then the fourth line is kind of where it drops off a little bit maybe, but this could still be a really good line if these players produce. You have Tyler Ennis, who I think is still capable of 15 14 goals. You have Josh Jewers and Kasperi Kapanen. You can kind of switch them out. Kapanen can play a bit of center and Jewers can play the wing or whatever you want to do there. And Kapanen could, in my opinion, switch up and down with Connor Brown or maybe even try him out on the Tavares line. But I think that's where Hyman's going to stay. So this is kind of what I see the lineup looking like. And then scratch, you have Josh Leivo and Per Lindholm, who in my opinion, if Jewers and Ennis aren't playing well for a pretty good amount of time, I think Lindholm is going to get all the chance in the world to make this team, in my opinion, and I definitely think we will see him probably halfway through the season take a full-time role with the team. And then you have Josh Leivo, who I think is going to be the guy who comes in when people get injured. So all in all, a really, really solid forward group, one of the deepest in the entire NHL, and this isn't just a top-heavy lineup, even though there's a lot of firepower up there, because that third and fourth line can definitely still do some damage. Now taking a look at my predictions for who I think will be leading the Maple Leafs in scoring next year, and this is the top 6. I have John Tavares leading the way with 99 points, and remember this is thinking if every player plays in all 82 games. So I have Tavares, 32 goals and 67 assists for 99 points. I don't see it. I mean, I think he could get over 100, but I kind of think his range is more 90 to 99. Mitch Marner, and this might surprise some people or maybe even make some people angry that I think he will have the most points and will tie with Austin Matthews. I just think playing with John Tavares, he's going to get a lot of assists and also get a lot of goals. So 27 goals and 59 assists for 86 points from Mitch Marner. I think that would be a fantastic year, and he can finally develop into that superstar that we know Mitch Marner can be. And then Austin Matthews, 82 games, and I have him scoring 46 goals. I think he's going to be unleashed on the goal scoring end, and we might even see him score 50, and then 40 assists for 86 points, in which would be a really good year for Austin Matthews, over a point per game. And I definitely think he's capable of this, but I definitely think he's also capable of more. So I have William Nylander next with 30 goals and 42 assists for 72 points. Kadri, 30 and 34 for 64 points, and then Zach Hyman, 20 goals and 29 assists for 49 points. I definitely think he'll score 20 goals if he plays on the line with Tavares and Marner for the season. So all in all, in my opinion, if it does look something like this is a really deep team, and you're getting a lot of scoring from your top 2 lines, and I definitely think guys like Johnsson and Kapanen can be up around 30 to 40 points as well, and especially Connor Brown, he might even be up around Hyman with 49, and hopefully Morgan Rielly and Jake Gardiner can chip in some points here and there as well. So I definitely think it's going to be a really good year offensively wise for the Toronto Maple Leafs next season. Now finishing out the video with my final expectations for the Toronto Maple Leafs next season, I have them with a record of 52, 22, and 8. I definitely think they are capable of getting more than 50 wins, and I think they're capable of getting up that even more, maybe to around 56, 57, but I have a weird kind of scenario here that I think could happen. I think they might get off to a little bit of a slow start and kind of see what the line combinations are looking like, but I definitely think after a quarter of the season they're going to pick it up and just go on an absolute tear. I think they're going to be second in the Atlantic behind the Tampa Bay Lightning, but ahead of the Boston Bruins, but I definitely think they can be neck and neck with Tampa, competing for that first spot in the Atlantic Division, because obviously these two teams, Tampa Bay and Toronto, are kind of similar if you think about it. I just give the edge to Tampa Bay solely because of how good their defense core is. I think Toronto has better forward depth, but all in all, I just think the more well-rounded team is the Tampa Bay Lightning, and also they are a more experienced team as well. So that is kind of why I think they'll finish second, but I definitely think they're very capable of pushing Tampa Bay and trying to compete for that first spot in the Atlantic Division, which I think would be huge for them to get home ice advantage throughout the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. I think that would be really good for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I think getting it in the first round is very important, because I do think it could be a Boston-Toronto matchup in the first round again next season, and if that is to happen, Toronto definitely wants to get home ice advantage, because in my opinion, that would put them over the edge and give the advantage to finally beat the Boston Bruins. The leading goal scorer, I have Austin Matthews with 46. You guys seen that in the previous graphic where I had the player stats predictions. Leading point scorer, John Tavares with 99 points, and this is a weird prediction I put on here for the captain. I don't think they're going to have one next season. I definitely think that they shouldn't, because that just brings too much drama to the team. Not really, I'm not really saying that players would care. I'm just saying the media always latches onto something. They always find something to pick apart, and this has already been a topic going on about who is going to be the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and really who cares? They all want to win, and I definitely think it's going to go to Matthews or Tavares, but it really doesn't matter. And if I was Toronto, I just wouldn't have one next season and just do what you did last year, have a bunch of alternate captains, and I definitely think that would keep some of the media away from trying to of pick apart that and, you know, asking, say, Austin Matthews if John Tavares gets the captaincy, asking Austin Matthews if he cares, because I know Austin Matthews is going to get mad at that question because obviously he doesn't care. He wants to win. And same goes for John Tavares, vice versa. So that's why I think they won't have a captain, but these are my final expectations for the Maple Leafs next year. So that is going to wrap up this video. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and make sure to let me know down in the comments what your expectations for the Toronto Maple Leafs are heading into next season, player point predictions, captaincy predictions, and all that good stuff. So with that being said, I'm very happy to be back in full force uploading 2 videos a day. I hope you guys are excited as well. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new for daily NHL content, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.